You are listening to Rockstar Parents, a podcast from me, Madison Malone, where I invite fellow musicians to have a chat about the hardest job on earth, being rockstar parents. On today's episode, I sat down with couple Jennifer Paz and Anthony Fedorov. These two are both shining stars in their own right. Jennifer is Lapis Lazuli from Steven Universe and has had multiple roles on and off Broadway. Anthony has also had multiple roles in theater and was a finalist on American Idol's 4th season. These two are songwriters, singers, actors, playwrights who are making their marks by creating art that showcases stories and characters that are underrepresented in entertainment today. On this episode, we talk about how growing up in immigrant households has informed their parenting styles and artistic choices, and also how expressing emotions and holding communication as one of the highest priorities fosters emotionally in touch children. Let's begin. Well, first off, I just want to say I love that I ran into you, Jennifer, the other day.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Seeing you at that, it was a songwriters, women, or She Rocks, right? Songwriters showcase at the...
It was, Women's International Network something.
And I haven't seen you in pre-pandemic, pre-baby, all the things, pre-pre.
Yeah. And we used to see each other a lot, all of us.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's like a reunion.
Yeah, this is nice to reconnect.
It's good to see you. And we just literally rolled out of bed, as we mentioned before you hit record. So I didn't know that.
Well, I wish I rolled out of bed.
But this is what parenthood is, right?
This is what parenthood is. We just roll up and we do the best job and we go with the flow.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay, everyone. Welcome to Rockstar Parents Podcast. I have a couple here today and they are really, really amazing people. First, I'm going to introduce you to animated superhero, Broadway star, playwright extraordinaire, Jennifer Paz, and American Idol contestant, musical theater whiz, songwriting genius, Anthony Fedorov. Welcome, you guys.
Hello. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Madison.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this is cool.
This is really cool.
Let's get into who you guys are. I want the audience to know. I'm going to kind of just put you on both on the pedestals that you have built and constructed in your lives. But so listeners, I ask the parents, the rockstar parents, to list their top 5 career moments and top 5 rockstar parent moments. And then those are the topics that we speak about. And I'm going to just put these two on their highest pedestals. Let's just start with the rockstar career moments that our audience might know you all from. So Jen, let's start with you because you have listed here animated superhero. Please tell us more.
Oh.
I mean, I know everything, but we need the world to know.
I got to voice a character on an animated series on Cartoon Network called Steven Universe. And I voiced the character of Lapis Lazuli, or Lapis Lazuli, depending on who you talk to, how it's pronounced. But it was such an honor to be part of this groundbreaking animated series, which, by the way, won a GLAAD Media Award. It was the first animated series to win a GLAAD Media Award. It won a Peabody Award, and it won an Emmy Award. And the creator of that show, Rebecca Sugar, who, is one of my personal mentors as far as creating your own work. She was such a groundbreaking creator in that she was the first female creator whose show got greenlit by Cartoon Network.
Wow.
Yeah. So to be a part of that just from the get-go. But we started that show back in oh my gosh, yeah, Julian was still a baby, in diapers when I auditioned for it. And we were living in Chicago at the time. Oh my gosh, it's all coming back. So we were living in Chicago at the time. That's right. And because you were fronting a rock band, you could talk about that in a bit. But
yes.
And then I get this random email from my agent who I really wasn't working with anymore, but it was like a forward. She was like, hey, this casting director is looking for you. She saw you in a show down in San Diego. It was the most random thing.
Wow.
She saw you and she remembers you, and if you want to just send in something for this animated series, let me know if you're interested. And I was like, And I was like, breastfeeding and just like no sleep, and just came across a
Yep.
forwarded email. And I'm like, sure, I can do that. And I sent in my audition, audio audition. And long story short, I ended up getting this series called Steven Universe, living in Chicago,
So,
going through postpartum depression, which
yeah.
then was like so interesting because the character of Lapis Lazuli deals with so much PTSD. If any listeners out there know Steven Universe or understand or know or familiar with the themes that they tackle in this seemingly innocent 11-minute per episode, show, they tackled so many great, just important things about mental health for our youth, the conversation of
Which is
allyship. Yes, all the things.
everything that you had been experiencing up to that point only colored the character. So by you even going through, which is, I mean, this is a rock star parent and a rock star career moment, because it's like you're going through postpartum and you're infusing your character with who you are, and it's only creating a wider fabric and tapestry and deeper depth of this character. And so I'm sure that's why you had the part. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I didn't even realize though until like in hindsight when the show finally did come out, because when you record an animation, it takes like anywhere from 9 months to a year to even
Wow.
see it. So, you go in the booth and that's it, you forget about it. And then when the show launched and we started getting this fandom, and that people really started to connect on a real raw and visceral level, like, oh my gosh, like we realized Rebecca had really tapped into, this authenticity of really owning your space and owning your voice. And I know for her, and it has been talked about, like she got a lot of pushback for the kinds of things that she wanted to talk about in her show, which was just like these wholesome characters that just
Sure.
happen to be non-binary or same-sex or whatever. And like
People that actually exist in the
people
real world.
who actually
Representation.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until like she won all those accolades that then the network was like, yes, we love everything you've been doing.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really interesting to watch her go through her journey. And she talked openly about it too, how it took a lot on her mental health. But I just looked up to her so much, and just witnessing her really infuse her own personal life into her work unapologetically was just so inspiring. So yeah.
I love that you had that experience. That I want to speak on the fandom for a second, because I don't know if you remember this, but Anthony and I had a show with Ray Zaragoza and Christopher Watson over at, I think it was like the West Side. And my cousins had come out to visit me with my mom and my brother. And I knew who you were, and I knew that you played Lapis, but I did not tell my cousin, who's a huge Steven Universe fan.
Oh.
And she had a Steven Universe hat on, and you went up to Piper and you were like, whatever, like Lapis has some line or something that is said often. I don't know, but I remember it was like this magical moment where you said a line to my cousin, and she was like, immediately started tearing up. She's like, "Are you Lapis?" And you were like, "Yeah." She's like, "No." And she just started crying. I will never forget that moment. It was so cool.
I do remember that. Yes. And it was just,
oh my gosh,
the show was just coming out. So
yeah.
Hello, Piper.
And she
if you're
didn't even know,
listening.
like, yes. I didn't even tell her. And she was just like, it was just, that's how big of a fan she was. She's like, yeah, I have my Steven Universe hat on, like, what's new?
Amazing.
So that was such a cool moment. And again, to know what I love about this podcast is talking about, I think we really separate in our society, we've really separated the professional from the parent. And to know that you were going through what you went through to be Lapis is like, we're out here doing it, going through the career moments and the parent moments, the highs and the lows together. And that's only more powerful. I think our society's told us to like separate the two, and you're weaker if you're one and you're stronger if you're the other, or it's harder for one. And you make sacrifices, but at the end of the day, I think that just makes a deeper artist. you know.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and speaking of Ray Zaragoza, yeah, I remember she had a conversation with you about like tapping into like using your authentic voice for the work that you wanted to do, right? With like, because like you said about being parents and tapping into what our art and what we infuse in our work, like around the time that you were working with Ray and writing, like all the crazy stuff was happening, the shift in leadership in 2016, right? And I honestly was really afraid of doing that kind of art because people were like, "Wait, you're supposed to just entertain, right?" But art as activism was like fairly new for me, but Anthony and Ray were really the ones that were like doing that thing.
Yeah,
Want to
no,
talk about that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't.
Anthony, okay, amazing. Perfect segue, because Anthony, who, when I met you, I knew you from American Idol because I was one of those girlies who had to watch every episode every season. So I was like, of course I remember Anthony, like angel voice with like such emotion. So let's talk about American Idol, and then, yeah, using art as activism, because you've done it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, Idol was it was definitely a life-changing experience for me, and I really all I ever wanted to do is just get in the door. I mean, I was 20 years old when I made it on the show. I turned 20 when I made top four, and I knew I wasn't going to win my season because I wasn't quite ready, and so I wanted to get in the door, and then just I knew that the real, like, not that the work that I did on the show wasn't real, but it wasn't. There was a lot left for me to discover about myself and understand, like, what is it that I
course.
need to do to become a real artist, because I was just kind of just singing and picking songs that I liked, and it was kind of random, like I didn't know what my authentic voice was at that time. So it took me almost 20 years now to figure it out, and I mean, now I'm finally in the best creative place I've ever been in, because I know exactly who I am, and the versatility of my work, and I and I can own that because it took me 20 years to finally get here. So yeah, so Idol was definitely a life-changing experience for me, and I've been just kind of keeping my head down and just working on my craft ever since, and it's been a really, really amazing experience. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs, but all of that has fueled my work and made it that much more grounding and closer to who I am. And especially like using art as activism. I mean, I remember with when Ray and I were. It was the night after the election in
2016.
2016. Yeah, when
Things
when
shifted.
things shifted,
Oh, yes.
and I remember she was really heartbroken, and I said to her, I'm like, look, obviously we can't change what happened. One thing I can promise you, let's just go right. And then one thing I can promise you is that you are going to feel a little bit better by the time we're done. And surely enough, there was a bit of weight that was lifted when we wrote our first song together, and then we wrote a few more songs together. And it's funny, like, Ray, watching her journey has really inspired me to stay on this journey. And I told her this several times. So one of the musicals that Jen and I have developed over the past 5 years is called #America, and Ray is kind of an inadvertent reason for that show even starting, because I did a concept album based on a lot of this activist music that I was writing, but all of that really started with writing some songs with Ray, and just kind of just and this is the gift of being an artist, right? Like, we have a really healthy way of being able to get our emotions out on the page, get it out, record it, pick up an instrument, and express ourselves in a way that is healthy and that can kind of help us get through whatever situation we're going through. So yeah, it all just kind of started with us trying to find some emotional safety and a bit of a release from the energy that was shifting back in 2016. And it just kind of, for me, I just continued to go that path, and Ray has continued to go down that path, and all the incredible music that she continues to write is, yeah, she's been a big inspiration for me, like, honestly, like.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love that. I do want to say to the listeners, so Anthony, Jen, and Ray were all neighbors. So when I first moved
Yep.
to Los Angeles, I met
That's
Ray
right. Yeah.
online. We went and got pad thai, and I came back, and Anthony was on the roof with his guitar playing, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is my neighbor. I've been wanting you to meet him anyway." I'd only known Ray for like 2 days, and then so
Oh,
this
is that right? Oh
all
my
of this.
gosh.
Yeah.
And then we did
Yeah,
that music video in her apartment.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
yeah.
That's one of
It's
my
what a
favorite
beginning.
songs of hers, American Dream.
It's great.
It's so great.
It's
Yeah.
a good, go watch that, everybody. Ray Zaragoza,
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
Dream. And Anthony, I feel like being able to start your career in a crash course of performance is huge. You're like national television. Here it is, the top of the top. The American Idol was on the charts every single week for most watched. And so you're immediately exposed to this audience at a time pre-social media too. So it was like people wanted, I mean, that had to have been a crazy education
It really
in
is.
performance. And now you're like you said, you've kind of reverse engineered it in a way of like, let's get back to the song. How have you found, I mean, clearly what you've just said about art as activism and using words to channel these emotions, but how have you found this journey of like performing to songwriting to now you guys are developing shows, musical theater shows, which we'll get into quickly here, but how does that journey feel? Because you're kind of seeing every side of it. And Jen too, chime in, because I know you, same thing. You're all seeing these different sides.
Well, I think the biggest gift that Idol gave me in terms of performance and just sort of navigating through this business is because I was thrown into such a pressure cooker. It's like you're almost like you're in the middle of a tornado. And because I was so young and ignorant and, I didn't think of it in those terms at the time. Because I was just like, oh, I'm going to go on TV and sing. Oh, okay. I got to do this. I have to do that. Okay.
Sure.
It was just sort of, I was just trying to hold on and just like, okay, you go from point A to point B to point C and you live in a bubble and you really don't realize the gravity that,
yes.
of the situation that you're in until you're off the show and then years after the show. So I feel like everything I've done in my career up to this point and moving forward, really, because that's the gift, that's the biggest gift that Idol gave me, is being able to handle different situations, different pressure situations, multitasking creatively. I feel like there's nothing I can't do because I've sort of done it in that vacuum. And now it's just sort of what I didn't have at the time is I didn't have a consistent kind of like work ethic of understanding what I needed to do to sort of be at my best. I was still trying to figure it out. But now that I have a work ethic, I have a process by which I go about. It's sort of like, that's the process is my foundation. But then, just emotionally, I feel like I can take on anything because I've already gone through this really high stakes kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it speaks to what you said about it, you calling it a crash course. It really is.
That was my, I never went to school for performance or for coaching or for any of that stuff.
You went through your program on
program.
reality television.
Exactly.
Right.
So for us audience members, like for me watching that, it's like, I often would say that to you, like, you went through like a 4-year program in front of millions of people because
seriously,
learning about your craft, your instrument, all that, it's such a sacred space for artists, but to have it televised and be judged, like that's the stuff that you learn in a class in a safe environment with your teacher, like giving your critique and your colleagues. But y'all were just like, okay, what song am I going to pick this week? And now I'm going to battle. It's like a competition, but it's not about the art. It's about the competition.
And I'll tell you about this. Speaking of teachers and just mentors, and Simon Cowell said something to me 20 years ago that to this day, one day when our paths cross again, I will remind him of that and thank him for it, because in a way it has shaped the last 20 years of my life. Because after,
you keep saying 20. Has it been 20 years since
20
your season?
Since my season. Yeah, this year it's going to be exactly.
Oh yeah, 2004.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, 20 years.
Right.
So Simon, after the finale, I went downstairs to his dressing room and I thanked him, to thank him for the experience and everything. And he sat me down right away and started asking me all these questions like, what do you want to do? Well, and I gave him the stock answers of, I want to make albums, I want to tour, yada, yada, yada. And, he kind of stopped me in the middle of it and he said, look, Anthony, you are not ready to do any of those things. What you need to do is you need to, quote, crawl under a rock for the next 7 to 10 years. You need to live some life. You need to experience some pain, whatever you need to go through. And when you come back, people are going to love you because you do have a lot of talent. You have a lot of potential. You're very likable, but you're just not ready. And, I could have taken that when somebody tells you need to crawl under a rock for the next decade or whatever, like you can take that in a way where it could really discourage you, or you could take it in a way, the way I took it, which is I took it and I ran with it. And in many ways, I still feel like I'm under a rock and I love it. I love being under a rock and just like coming back up and just letting the work speak for itself, because
I think that's art in its purest form,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I mean, call me traditional, but I think like having life experiences, creating it and being like, boop, there it is, and going back and like, there it is. Like that's what art is. I mean,
You're
that's where I
constantly,
feel it.
like examining and you're curious, like you haven't arrived. You're just constantly just making
Yes.
art. That's
Yeah.
it.
Like our job is to
You are
create.
an artist.
Yes.
Job is to create.
All this other stuff, the recognition, all the accolades, all that stuff, like that is for the outside world to decide. For us, we want to continue to create, continue to make an impact, and make a living doing it. Like really, that's what we do as artists. We just want to continue to create. So Simon's comment really kind of shaped my, the approach that I've taken these past 20 years is just keep my head down, keep working, keep getting better, and when the time comes, you come back and you let the work speak for itself.
Yeah, I love that. So, also like talking about another rock star moment, I want to shift into Rockstar Parents because let's talk about Julian, your 11-year-old son. One of the things that I asked them, or that stood out to me on your list of Rockstar Parent moments, is that Julian has been singing around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you asked him, you're like, I love hearing you sing, Julian. And he's like, I'm just happy, Mom. Wait, what?
I know. Yeah. No, he said that to me the other day. And I'm like, you're happy? He's like, yeah, I'm just happy singing. And so it just brings me so much joy that we set him up in a way that his mental health, like he knows who he is. And he just unapologetically expresses himself, which I love. And he's really, he wants his independence. In fact, it's so funny. Well, it kind of breaks my heart, but like today he asked me, he's in 6th grade, right? So I guess they're doing, there's like all the events are coming up for the year and there's a dance that's going to be happening.
Okay.
And apparently there's a situation where he might be going with like either a group of his buddies or somebody is interested in just going with him exclusively, So, and I'm like, all right, you gotta choose and be direct with whichever choice you want to make. But then he goes, if I go to this dance, can you please not volunteer to chaperone? And I'm like,
oh no.
Why? He goes, but his answer was he's like, because I want to be independent. I want to be able to be independent. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, either I'm like a total helicopter mom or
no,
he's really like, he wants to take his agency. Like he wants.
This is the stage that we're at, that he wants his agency.
And you know what's funny? Like coming from Helen, my wife and I were just talking about this the other day because he's 3 now. Okay. And he's like, if I want him to do something, I have to like give him a choice first so that it feels like he's made the choice to go do that thing.
That's right.
And so it kind of like, as you're saying this story, I'm like, I can totally see my son doing that. Like I can totally see that. And I actually think, like, I want to applaud you guys because I think that by him even first being able to voice that to you is step 1. To say, hey, Mom, I want some independence here. Wow, you have really raised somebody who is like you said, in touch with their emotions and like
He's very
knows
articulate.
how to communicate them.
He knows how to
like,
articulate, yeah, and advocate for himself.
how did you teach your kid to do, because like I need tips, we need tips, because also I saw you're like, he's saying please and thank you, he's taking his part in household chores, like can you please give us tips?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think communication is the number one thing. We've made it a point to really communicate with him early on. I don't think we ever spoke to him like a baby, do the whole, the baby talk,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
we spoke to him like a little growing human who is constantly getting older and evolving, and like he's like at superhuman speed, like as much as parents, as much as we, you kind of grow up with, you got to do what you're told, do your mommy, my mommy knows best, and I have to do, my daddy knows,
Right.
like with my parents, like
Right.
I sort of grew up with that, like what they say goes. And part of the, in terms of like just breaking patterns and cycles, at least for me, I hope that I'm learning just as much from him as he is from me. Obviously, there's a certain boundary that needs to be set, and he has to understand that he's got mommy and daddy here, and we're still his parents, and we're his friends, but we're also like we're his parents first and friends second. So
Yes.
so to be able to have that open dialogue, and he also holds us accountable
That's the thing
for
too. Yeah.
our hypocrisy, because
Yeah.
if we're gonna
Oh,
tell
tell me.
so
I mean, it's so humbling to have those moments when you see, or when your kid calls you out for the behavior that you're trying to correct in them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Wow.
So he really does represent the best parts of who we hope to be,
who we strive to be.
who we strive to be. So when we fall short, yeah, I mean, we fight in front of him too, but the thing is, we
that's
make
healthy.
it
It's
important
healthy.
to also resolve our conflict in front of him as well. So
Very
he sees the
healthy.
whole picture, that
Yes.
look, we're flawed, we're human, mommy and daddy we're doing our best, and this is us raw right now, but we're gonna get through this, and this is how we do that.
And again, communicating, making sure that he knows that whatever's happening in the moment is not about him.
Yeah.
And that,
Sure.
because oftentimes that could be taken on.
That's right.
And then it's also, we also tell him, like, when we go through our stuff, it's not your, because he tries to cheer us up, and it's not your job.
That's
to,
right. Oh,
to
I want to
do
just
that.
speak on that. I just want to speak on that because I know
I'm healing a little bit hearing that.
Yeah, no, I want to personally speak on that because I'm also going through now menopause. So there's all kind of crazy, with me, and I have to stop myself sometimes when I get emotional or I speak to Anthony in a certain way and I'm very short. And Julian witnesses that. And I grew up with I have a whole, dynamic with my immigrant parents and that whole, generational thing that I'm trying to break that cycle. So I recognize those patterns now, and I understand my mom now much better, and I'm giving her grace. But I knew when she had her moods, it would then cause me to be an anxious child, and I didn't want to upset her at all. So being around my mom, because she had her own issues, and I sympathize with it now. I can't even imagine what it was like for her bringing 4 small children, immigrating to this country. Of course, she's going to be impatient and all the things. But as a child wanting to please my mom, like I took that on as my own. So I was a very anxious child. And that's what I want to make sure that Julian doesn't become. And so I make sure to remove myself from the situation if I get a little dangerous with my moods. So I think that's also why Julian is so well adjusted emotionally and emotionally intelligent, because I will say, look, mommy's having a really bad day right now. This is not about you.
That's great.
And I'm so sorry, but I'm about to cry. And he's like, okay. And he knows it's not his problem. He doesn't have to adjust himself to appease mommy. I just had to be like, here I am. And, so then he can go be happy and not take it on as his own.
Yeah.
As opposed to what I did, I took it on as my own. Like, okay, how can I make my mom
Sure.
happy? What can I do to not like cause any more? I don't want to be a problem in this house, So
Sure. I think that is so, I mean, that's what they say, like as we become parents, it's up to us to like break certain habits
Mhm.
or lead the way in something that maybe you didn't experience. And I think that even just by observing, well, being a parent is also a crash course and seeing your own self,
That's
right?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
because as soon as you say something, it is reflected right back to you in the
Mhm.
emotion that they give you. Like, we're potty training Bravo right now.
Mhm.
And he's pretty much got it down. But sometimes, he's just in the middle of playing and he just doesn't want to go to the bathroom. And then he'll play this game of, I don't have to go potty. Yeah, I have to go potty. No, I don't. Yes, I do. And he just goes back and forth. Like, he'll run to the bathroom, come back, run to the bathroom, come back, or he'll just like argue with me. And today I was like stern and I was like, we are going to the toilet right now. And I like raised my voice. It got a little bit like
Mm.
blunt with it, and he just like precious moments, tear drop eyes to me immediately. But I also was like, there's also that balance of, I'm like, okay, it's also okay for me to raise my voice and be like,
It's okay. Yeah.
let's listen. It's okay. This is a human emotion of, I need you to listen to me right now. I love you. You're safe. And I said all that. I'm like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to get you to like understand what needs to happen. And then we can do the next thing. And I think like just by what you guys are saying about as you speak and as you go through emotions in life, you're also observing how you work as a human being, which then like all of that is so beautiful. And I think it just informs everything else in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a, our number one rule in the house is, you can't lie. Like we don't lie. We tell the truth. And it's really, but once you tell that to your kid, but then, then yeah, you go out into the world and you sort of, every situation you go through, like for me, my sort of my bar is like, okay, if I'm about to make this choice, would Julian be proud of me or would he be ashamed of me? That's how I know if I'm doing my best. Like, could I do a little bit better? Could I have done a little bit more? Did I say it in a way? Did I misspeak? Did I mischaracterize something? Like for me, it's always about, is he proud? Would he be proud of me if he would understand the context of this, or would he be ashamed of me, or would he be say like, Daddy, you're effing up, you know? So and when it's like, okay, if I think Julian would be proud of me in this moment, then I go ahead, and even if through mistakes and all, but that's
Yeah.
sort of how I try to kind of get to that place of being the best possible version of myself, because he is that reminder of like what the best of us looks like. And I think for us as parents, sort of, as many times as we failed and continue to fail, I think if we walk daily with that in mind, we'll get closer to a little bit closer to that goal by when it's all
Yeah.
said and done.
We're showing our kids like this is the human experience, and to be able to also put words to that is just like so much less confusing, right?
Yep.
Instead of being a kid and being like, I don't know what you're doing and I don't know if that's my fault or if there's something. Yeah, just literally communicating. Okay, everybody,
Yes,
write
that's
this
what it is.
down, just talk.
Yep.
I always tell Julian, I used to tell him this at a very young age, like, Julian, there are two kinds of people in this world. I'm just like saying this to like a 3-year-old, right? When he was 3. Yeah, as early as I could, he could talk. I'd be like, Julian, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those who get it and those who don't get it. Please just always be the one that gets it in the room, okay? And that's going to change wherever you are. So, and he really knows, and people have told this to me, so I can say this, I can brag. But
Yes, please.
that
This is for them.
our kid, he knows how to read the room. He just knows, or he knows how to read energy too, which I love.
Beautiful.
He's got like such a beautiful, I mean, I think kids in general
Yes.
can really read a vibe.
You haven't stifled that as parents. I think like we're all born with that. And
Yes,
then like
yeah.
it's either that candle, the flame is diffused or it's, fostered to keep growing.
Yeah.
I also think that by you both being artists and having to be in touch with your emotions to create the art that you do, art that is pure and art that is true, can only inform your child, because you have to be that all the time in your professional work. So then you are going to be that in your parent work as well. Yeah. So I think you've just let that flame go, and that's a beautiful thing.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Oh.
Moving on to a rock star career moment, which is also in tune with this. When Jen and I saw each other a couple weeks ago, she was telling me about this musical that you guys are developing. And the big thing is that it has now been chosen to be a part of a festival, right?
Yes. So it's a show called Proud Marys, and we're actually leaving for New York tomorrow.
You guys,
start rehearsal.
This is so exciting.
But it got into the NAMT Festival, which is the National Alliance for Musical Theater, and it's their 36th annual festival, and they only select 8 shows every year. And this year they had a record number of 583 submissions. Over 1,000 writers submitted, and I submitted last year. I kind of forgot about it, and then we got the call back in April that we were in the top 20 finalists spot. And then later on in the summer, we were told, congratulations, you made the festival. So this organization is a wonderful organization that helps in the development of new work. So shows like Come From Away, Lempicka, that's just opened recently on Broadway, and Thoroughly Modern Millie, like they've helped hundreds of shows. So to be selected, I'm just like, if we end up there and that's it, like I'm good. Like, but
sure.
So, but yeah, the festival, it's basically they call it like a speed dating for new musicals. So all of the theaters across the country and globally come to this festival to get to see a 45-minute excerpt presentation of your show. So like Center Theater Group here in Los Angeles, to Goodspeed Musicals, which we had a residency for earlier this year, developing the show. All these wonderful theaters looking to program their theaters come to the NAMT Festival. And I think something like 85% of the shows that come out of NAMT go on to get produced or workshopped or pass albums or, go on to Broadway. So I'm just pinching myself, like the cast that we got.
Tell us what it's about, because I know, but the listeners need to know. And also just already knowing the synopsis and hearing some lovely musical bits, Anthony and Jen, the world is ready for this.
I hope so. Yeah. So it's about 3 daughters who shake up the strict traditions of the religious Filipino-American family when they all get knocked up out of wedlock at the same time. That's the log line.
So great.
I like to say it's like a Filipino-American Fiddler on the Roof meets Jane the Virgin, Jagged Little Pill the musical meets Fleabag. Yeah, because it did start off as a half-hour writing sample that I wrote, as one of my writing samples, and I would fling out to different writing fellowships and screenwriting competitions. And then I decided to expand it from a half-hour non-musical to then a 1-hour musical, when then I incorporated some of the songs from Anthony's catalog.
I just came home one day and she was
like,
like,
let's talk about that.
Yeah. So
it's so okay. So you came home one day and Jen's like, it's a musical now. And you were like, wait a second.
Just like as an exercise, I was like, what if I put this song that is just sitting there on his shelf with this character and this song, and it like fit like a glove, because he writes about mental health and like very anthemic kind of songs. And these women, these sisters, were all dealing with their own sort of journeys with dealing with their unplanned pregnancies with very strict immigrant parents. So each sister represents my journey, my reproductive journey. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, there's really that's kind of, that was the beginning of it for me. Just coming home from the gym, and she was actually, ironically, we were fighting at that time.
That's right.
And
Okay, now
It's
we're
just
getting
how it
real.
works.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
That's how it works.
That's part of the story.
That's
Like,
right.
and
Oh my
so
gosh.
even though we were fighting, she loved my music, so that was great. And we,
Love conquers all.
that's it. That's it. And it was just one of those things where once I kind of heard how she was infusing these songs into the scenes, it became very, very clear sort of what this thing really wanted to be.
It took on a life of its own.
It took on a life of its own, and then just, started writing more music, and it was just kind of, it just became this thing that it is now. And I think for me, the most rewarding part of this experience has been watching Jen kind of really battle her own demons, which, if you want to, I don't know how much you want to go into that, but just being able to just take your voice and take your space and own it. Whatever happens with Proud Marys, of course, we wanted to achieve a certain, cultural and commercial impact. And yes, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we do what we do. But to me, it's the quiet moments where, the battle has been won in that she chose to continue to move forward with it when it felt like,
Yeah, no, that's a lot there. Looping back to what we were talking about earlier with voicing this cartoon character when I was going through my postpartum. Around there is when I started writing Proud Marys.
Wow.
And we talked about this too, Madison, because I had experienced a miscarriage, right?
Yep.
And you had told me that you haven't told Anthony this. Like, please share with Anthony and our listeners what you told me about what Julian said to you when we met.
Yeah. So Jen, when we saw each other a few weeks ago, Jen was like, and I went through a miscarriage, and I kind of smiled because you two had never told me this, but Julian, when he was probably 3, almost 4, or maybe like right at 4 or something.
Yeah, it was right when he was 3 or 4.
We were over at your place, and I was in the living room, and Julian was like, Mommy, or I was going to have a baby sister, but I don't have her anymore, or she's gone or something. And I was like, and Ray heard it. And so then her and I talked afterward, and we're like, yeah, she must have gone through a miscarriage. But I didn't say anything to you guys because I know that's sensitive, and it's a very, it's a sensitive topic. But so I love that all these years later, as you told me, I'm like, yeah, I knew that. But Julian told me, which is again showing like this precious child who also, the way that he said it, he was like, I was going to have a baby sister, but not anymore. It was something like that. And it was so sweet. And I knew exactly what he meant. And I was like, what a way to express that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I didn't know. So Anthony, I forgot to tell you that. So it was around that time.
Julian told me.
Look at that. It was around that time where I just started writing about my grief, and it came out, ironically though, as a comedy, because as my mentor at the time told me, she's like, apparently you like to joke your way through trauma.
Oh,
so
I mean,
so I made it into a comedy about, and I'm like, what kind of milestone moments can trigger like family dynamics, like dysfunctional family dynamics. So
beautiful.
I decided to like loosely base it on that, my pregnancy. And then I'm like, and my first name is Mary, very, Filipino Catholic parents. So I was, and my 2 sisters are named Mary as well. We're all Mary. So that's, I kind of loosely took that. And then I was like, all right, these are the characters then. And it just came off as, me expressing these things about my reproductive journey and like talking about mental health in a way that women of color don't really get to talk about, because we just don't talk about mental health in Filipino American households. We pray things away. We don't go to therapy. We don't, what are you talking about? Like, just go pray this away. So I wrote that in this book. And then when I matched some of the Anthony songs with these characters, it just, it fit. And these with your songs, like, I love that it illustrates their inner life.
Yeah.
Well, also, Anthony, you're an immigrant as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Ukraine.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
So
It's very
there.
there's lots of there to unpack. Yeah, I mean, I was born in Yalta. At the time, it was Yalta, Crimea, which was part of Ukraine. Now it's part of Russia. I've always
Okay.
identified as Russian, but I'm also, Ukrainian. So I don't speak Ukrainian. I
Mm-hmm.
speak Russian.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just being able to kind of draw from my own immigrant experience and add
Mm-hmm.
to what Jen was trying to achieve. Like, and it's because I've over the years, like I've become obsessed with story driven songs, like
Yeah.
trying to find a way to write something visually, like, and the more I've been writing, the more I'm seeing. Jen and I were talking about this about a week ago because she was asking me about my writing process. And the best way to describe it is I see it in pictures as if I'm watching it on screen, whether I'm writing a
Love
song for
it.
a musical or like it's just visual to me. I can't explain it any other way. So when she pitches, a scene to me and kind of tells me what she needs to accomplish, then I just become obsessed with like coming up with these pictures, or like writing it until I see it. So it like
Oh
reveals
wow.
itself until I can watch it in my head. And once I start seeing it, then I know I'm on the right path,
Wow.
and it's kind of like, yeah. And then,
Which is, I mean, that's musical theater in a basket, really. Like if the song does not lead the story anywhere, the song
yeah,
does not belong.
yeah,
So I feel like, and also I think some of the best songs in the world that aren't even musical theater songs, but the best songs in the world are ones that tell stories
yeah.
and make you feel a certain way at the beginning, and then at the end you've either discovered a new thing or you're on a path to somewhere else. I just think it's interesting you both come from the immigrant family origin and also mentality, and then you're both artists who have found each other, and then your art just fits. Like that is such a unique story as a couple, to have your art meld together like this and to come from backgrounds that are vastly different but also have these similarities. I'm sure I mean, Proud Marys is going to be a hit. I just know it.
Oh, you're
It's
so
too
sweet.
good. But I also just think the root of it, the foundation, is so intentional.
Yeah, I think thank you for saying all that. But I don't know, I'm just writing from a place of I had a mentor tell me, write as if no one's gonna even read these pages. You know?
Ooh.
So when I gave myself permission to be honest like that on the page is when it opened up for me. Because, it's so cliche to say, but it's in the specificity that it becomes universal, you
Yes.
know?
Bruce Springsteen says that
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I like you said this earlier about our work. Like if we were to like just figure out a way to describe what it is that we strive, it's hook and heart. Like we try to get to the hook of the song and the heart of the story. Hook and heart.
And I think also, everything that we do created, look, this does not come without its downs and, the countless tumultuous things that roller coaster rides that we've gone through to figure out what our creative balance is.
Oh,
Of
it took us a while to get here.
It's not just all roses. Like it's been tumultuous oftentimes to figure out what our lanes are.
What our lanes were, yeah.
But I think the more we've been creating, everything starts just like in any relationship, whether it's personal, whether it's creative, or in our case, both. Everything starts with trust.
Yeah.
And we've been learning how to trust each other as time went on, and that requires putting away your ego, that requires more listening, that requires, stepping away and coming back. And I think trusting it, the more we've learned to trust each other, the more we've learned how to collaborate together in a very healthy way. And I also think that our art is a direct reflection of how, like, that we're each other's soulmates, like, because our art is so closely connected to who we are as people. And in moments when we're like, gosh, we don't know if we're gonna make it, I refuse to believe that everything that we've created, that it, like, that it's not a direct reflection of the fact that we are soulmates. Like there's something unexplainable that happens and continues to happen when we are together in the quiet moments, and and how the art is born from that. It's a spiritual connection that happens that just kind of, it's all closely tied. And then once we've learned how to trust each other, then the actual process of creating has kind of solidified itself, or like revealed itself of like what works for us.
I want to go back to what you said about the immigrant experience. I think that is something that when you said it, I was like, yeah, that's like one of our biggest sort of connections that we have. We have very similar immigrant experiences, and just wanting to break that cycle from, the way we were raised, and figure out new healthier ways with our son, and just how that's like that with everything that we do. I'm trying to be the kind of parent that I wish I had sometimes. I'm trying to make the kind of art that I wish I was able to be a part of and audition for. It's like,
completely,
let's just make the art. Like no one's writing the parts for me. Okay, so let me write the parts from my point of view. Let's write the part from a woman of color point of view, from a woman who's going through menopause, an immigrant experience. Like no one's going to write it the way you know it. And then you let that artist then take it and make it theirs. But I'm just going to write it from my point of view.
And I think like, amen, yes, to all of that. And the fact that you guys you're making this art, the one person who is for sure going to see it and be inspired by it is Julian. And that alone is success.
Well, he's part of that art. I mean, he is
we've actually thrown him on some demos.
Yeah, there's
for another show that we're writing. You want to talk about that?
Yes, please, come on. Rockstar parent career moment.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, this is because I see it so clearly in my head where it's gonna go and how it's gonna happen. So I'm just trying to manifest this from the universe. But yeah, I was really inspired by Jen's journey of writing about her experience. I started questioning, well, what is my Russian American Ukrainian experience? Because I don't even know what that is.
Sure.
I don't feel very closely connected to my culture. And and the thing that I love that Jen has done with Julian is he's really connected to his Filipino side. He's proud to be Filipino, and Jen makes sure that he understands his roots and everything. And I haven't done as good of a job with that on my end because, again, I don't feel a connection to. I don't know what it is to be a Russian American. I know the Russian side. Some things I like, some things I don't like, and I sort of kind of have this constant inner battle with myself. And so I'm like, you know what is my experience? So actually I started writing a show 6 months ago, and after 6 months and 96 pages, 16 songs later, we just finished
a full draft.
Full draft.
A one-act musical.
It's called Fourth and Goal, a miserable Jets fan story, because I'm a big Jets fan.
Oh, look at that. Look at where.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
totally not planned.
Not planned.
That's amazing.
But yeah, like Jen's been helping me. She's kind of been my North Star, my my guide, my teacher, my everything with this process, because it's my first attempt of trying to write my story, and then she's just been guiding me every single step of the way. And Julian, so the characters that are in the show, they're loosely based on my family, and Julian's been recording all the stuff for one of the characters.
There's a character called Leo,
and
10-year-old son,
and he's just been bringing this character to life. I mean, Julian's voice is coming in beautifully now, and he's starting to find his belt now, and he can now like flip into his head voice, and just like he's just everything is kind of starting to happen for him, and you
must be so proud.
Yeah, I am. I mean,
I'm a proud Mary.
Yeah, she's a proud Mary. And so when we're in the studio all together, being
so corny. That was so corny.
That's fantastic.
For me, I think that's probably my biggest highlight, is being able to write my first show and be able to do this with my family, that we're doing this together. I mean, ideally
And it's a wonderful premise. Can you share the premise?
Yeah.
One sentence log line. Go.
You're better with log
okay.
lines. So you can...
When his name is Anatoly, and he's a retired New York City firefighter. He makes a wish for his favorite NFL team to win the Super Bowl. And when he makes his wish for the Jets to win, in this magical realism moment, his late brother, Max, comes to his side and grants him his wish on one condition: that he finally face the impact of losing his big brother, which has led to his gradual estrangement from his grief-stricken Russian immigrant parents and his current marital strife from his estranged wife, Cora.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's the log line. What?
Deep. You guys.
That's
Anthony. Great.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, very personal.
Very
Come
personal, because he
on.
did lose his brother.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of like how art, how life breathes into our art, and to be able to do that
all
with
connected.
all connected. And then seeing Julian on that mic and originating this character, and this, Anatoly's son Leo, it just brings such joy to my heart. And if I can make it happen, like, we will originate these roles as a family. Like, that's what I want to.
Yes.
That's what I see for us, to be able to do this together on stage and have that once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, it's like it's a one act musical, so it would be like a Tick Tick Boom meets
Cool.
Angels in the Outfield by way of like Pixar's Onward.
Love.
That's the tone.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
so
tone.
there's lots
great.
of magical realism, and
Fourth and Goal, a miserable Jets fan story.
yeah.
Yes, I love it. I would love it, but also you're going to get all those people who might not be theater fans.
That's
but
exactly
That's the intention.
That's the intention.
Yeah.
I want to bring in.
So
It's like a
very
bait
smart.
and switch. Yeah.
Like, you
Great.
want to talk about toughness? Let's talk about
Yes.
what toughness is, which, being vulnerable,
Being-
dealing with your trauma, like, that is toughness.
That's toughness. Yeah.
And speaking about football, my choir teacher, I had 3 choir teachers in my 4 years of high school. They all kept switching. One of my choir teachers, Mr. Brooks, he was the football coach and the choir teacher. And so he got a lot of those football guys to come to choir.
Awesome.
And he had that same thing where he was like, what's tough is singing and being on stage and being vulnerable.
Yes.
And showing your emotions through song. And so all of a sudden the choir, like, we had this great bass and tenor section. Whereas it was like, we'd have 9 or 10 guys before, and then we had like 20. It was so cool.
I love that.
So it's an important, crossover to have.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can kind of
bring in those
that
tough guys into
that
the theater.
demographic, and
yes,
let's have those conversations of what it is to be a man. And because the
Completely.
archetype of Anatoly in this show is built after. So there's this iconic legendary Jets fan. His name is Fireman Ed, and he's the one that created the JETS Jets chant.
JETS Jets. I've had an education now in football, so I know that chant.
And and he's this, and he ironically also lost his brother too. And so I wanted to build Anatoly's archetype after him, because he's a really tough, passionate guy, and loves the team more than anything. In the piece, Anatoly, he hangs on to the Jets the way he does because that's the only thing that keeps him connected to his brother. And he just, it's a way to just avoid dealing with what's actually underneath. So by the end of the show, where you think the show starts and where it ends, it's a,
Guys,
so we'll see what happens.
Exciting. Yeah. I'm so proud of you both. And also just to see, there's a song I heard recently where it was something about this exactly, where you see each other in these moments in life, and as time passes, life happens too. And so it's like to have seen you just a few weeks ago, and it's like, here's everything that's happening. I'm like, that is so amazing. And it's just the evolution of who you've already been. It's just built up and up and up and up, and you're, like Pokemon becoming your most, the last stage of Pokemon, like you're right there, and beginning with and culminating to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you bringing Julian with you to New York, or what's happening?
We're not going to pull him out of school,
Yeah.
so he's going to stay
Oh,
here.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're
We
so
have a wonderful support system here. So
like
he's
cannot thank our
Yes.
friends enough, because without them we would literally not be able to do this trip. And
so
that's part of being a rock star parent, is like
Having
you
the
have to
community.
have that village, that community.
Yeah.
and having the
I'm-
strength to reach out and ask for that
and
help,
asking for help.
because
Yeah.
then you hope that your friends will have the strength to reach back out to you for help. And because we
Completely.
can't do it alone. It's just, and why would we want to, because I think, as I don't think human beings are meant to walk this life alone.
No.
We're better as a tribe, we're better as a community. Yeah, so I think that's also part of the win and part of the journey for us as artist parents, is knowing that we have this wonderful community of other parents, and some of them are also artist parents, and who can be there for us and celebrate our wins, and then we can be there for them and celebrate their wins. And that's what it's all about.
It really is. You guys, this was awesome. My dog is barking.
I hear.
Yeah, right here.
But this was so awesome, and I adore you both. And you are really, you're rockstar parents, and you're my first couple to be on together.
Oh,
So this
yay.
was so cool. Yeah,
Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much for having us.
And when we get back,
Madison.
let's get together when we get back.
And I want to talk
need
to
to
you.
get
Actually,
together.
we talked about making you maybe a case study for one of my characters
Any questions you have
to ask
I'm
about
here.
your journey. Yeah, because one of the sisters I'm grappling with the idea of her baby daddy was supposed to be queer, but I think I want to make that sister the queer one or maybe both of them could be queer. I don't know, but
both could be. Yes. I mean, whatever feels right. But any questions you
I
have,
would love.
I happily will be here to be a case study. Yeah. Everyone, please go look up Jennifer and Anthony's work. Where's the best place? Where can people find you? How can we consume your art?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Jennifer Paz Official. Oh, and then you can follow the Proud Marys Instagram and follow that journey. It's at Proud Marys Official as well. I think at Proud Marys _official.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for also Instagram at Anthony Fedorov Music. We're working on putting together kind of like a site where people can go.
Yeah,
all
it's
our
under
work.
construction.
Yeah, so we're working on that. But
Yet
for now,
another
just
thing,
just
work on.
subscribe to our follow us on Instagram, and we're constantly posting updates and things like that. And then more fun stuff to come soon.
Wonderful. Well, if you didn't already know Anthony and Jen, I know you love them now. And if you already did, even more reason to honor them and love them and appreciate their art. So thanks, you guys, for being such role models to the Rockstar parent community. And let's get together and eat some good food.
Yes, we love that.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. Thank you,
Thanks,
Madison.
Madison.
Okay. Bye, guys.